Hello, and thanks for joining me today in my garage as I show you how to make these cute little shadow box type trees, ornaments, whatever you really want to make them. I came up with this idea because I had a lot of pieces that were the same size left over from a previous project, and so all you really need is about 8 pieces that are the exact same size, and one that is a little bit longer, or the same size or a little bit longer. The 9th piece I'm using is about the same size, but you're going to use one of these pieces. These are the craft paint sticks that I used in my 3 trees and a snowman video. These are just some leftover ends, and here I just made this glued a couple pieces together and made that first initial V, and now I'm just going to add pieces by lining the previous piece's bottom up with that pencil line. Of course, after I started working on this, I realized that I was going to leave it raw. I'm not going to paint it, so I wanted to sand all the edges on all these little pieces. So I went back and sanded the pieces that I started with and sanded all these other little edges before I glue them on. So again, I'm not going to paint it. I want it to be just natural, and I wanted those edges to be a little bit more finished. So here we go, we're all cleaned up, and again, I'm just going to put a dot of glue and line up that pencil mark with the bottom edge of the previously glued piece. And as I go along, I kind of set it down on the table and make sure that everything's even, level, I guess you could say. So I got those 8 pieces, 4 on each side, and now I'm just going to glue this bottom piece. I could have made this bottom piece a little bit wider and made the tree a little bit fatter, but I actually wanted it to be a little bit more narrow because it's going to be an ornament and I don't want it to be too big. So I'm going to make a back for this just out of a piece of cardboard. Just taking a pencil and tracing my outline here. And then I'll cut this out and it'll hopefully fit inside. I'm going to mark the back with my pencil so that I know that that's the way the tree was facing when I traced it. The front and back might not be exactly the same, even though I tried. So here is my back cut out through the magic of video, nice and quickly. You didn't have to watch me make all those boring cuts, and it just fits nice and snugly right in the back of that. It makes a cute little shadow box. I'm going to put just a piece of paper on the back here. It's a wood pattern, but you could use anything, any color that goes with your decor, or you could make these really super fun for kids. They could choose their own color for the background, but for mine, since I'm leaving the wood unpainted, I wanted this wood background. And you could use this just as a little shadow box, but I'm going to use a piece of this ornament box that I cut apart and make a window for the front of my shadow box ornament here. It'll be a windowed shadow box. So I'm going to do the same thing with this plastic that I did with the cardboard. I'm just going to trace it. I thought about using a Sharpie, like a fine Sharpie, but I didn't want to get black ink on my wood. So I'm using a pencil, and it of course made it really hard to see, but I did I was able to see my lines and cut out my tree-shaped piece of plastic here. So now that I have my window, I want to be able to put it in and secure it, but I don't want a bunch of hot glue showing. So because this is going to be a little bit more of a farmhouse style or a country rustic style ornament, I'm going to use this jute twine to create a ridge at the front of my ornament. I'm just going to use my fine tip glue gun and run hot glue just along the very front of the edge of this tree, and then I just glue that twine down. But if you were using other colors, you could use any color of cord or some yarn. Doing this with kids would be fun. You could use yarn for this part, and you could use just tacky glue with kids rather than the hot glue. I know it takes a little bit more time for the drying and stuff, but you really could do this with kids. So my little plastic window just fits right down against that jute cord that I've glued around the edge, and it gives it a really nice finished edge. But I'm also going to tack it down just a little bit with some hot glue on the inside just to secure it in place, just a little bit along the edges, kind of like caulking in a window or something. But just get that secure, and now that my window's in there, I'm going to fill my ornament with some pom-poms. I'm using white and black. Like I said, this is going to be more of a farmhouse style ornament, and I have some black and white checked ribbon that I'm going to use for a bow on top. So after I get my pom-poms inside, you could put whatever you wanted inside. You could do fake snow or little toys, or just whatever you wanted to do. But after you get whatever it is you want inside, you just put your back piece on, and I'm just going around and securing the edge of that with a little bit of hot glue. So now that that's done, I have a cute little ornament. I'm going to just do a quick little bow, just making a couple of loops, pinching it there and crossing over the ribbon. And then I'm just going to tie this with a piece of jute string. It's a wired ribbon and not a very big bow. I didn't want it to be bulky, so I'm just tying the center off with this jute string. Then, because it's wired, I can kind of shape it how I want it to go. I'm gonna fold the ends in half and then cut a little V just to kind of give it a little bit of a finished look. So I fidget way too much with that bow. I cut the jute off, but then I'm going to use a piece and tie a little loop and glue it to the top of this tree, because this is going to be an ornament. And then right on top of that, I'll glue my little checkered bow. And how adorable is that? I saw so many ornaments over the past few weeks with these little pom-poms. They were so cute. I wanted to show you another version of this tree I did. Unfortunately, I lost the beginning footage of this one, but it's the same basic principle. I'm just filling the box with lights. Just this $1 light string that I got at Dollar Tree. And I just kind of secured those lights in there with some little glue dots and put my back on. I cut a little notch in the back at the bottom so that my battery pack that wire ring would just be able to come right out. And I'm going to secure the battery pack to the back. You can see that my front here is vellum paper. that I just glued some snowflakes to and put some glitter on. I did paint this one. I painted it white, and then I used some chunky glitter on the edges of the, I guess, the branches of my tree. And then because of the hot glue that I used to secure the vellum into the tree, I went back with some white glue just around the edges and used some more glitter to kind of cover up my hot glue lines. So now I'm cutting apart a little frosty pick that has just a little greenery and some berries and a little pine cone, and I'm just gluing those on to the top of my tree. I also added a little snowflake, and I'm using this sparkly white ribbon. I'm just making 3 little loops, and that's just going to kind of sit on the back there. So I'm going to just use a little mini zip tie to secure this. You could use wire or whatever you have, chenille stems, whatever you want to secure yours. These little mini zip ties are so great for so many things, and it's kind of translucent, so once I cut the tail off of it, you really can't see it, especially since I'm going to be gluing this just kind of on the back of my tree here. So this one just turned out so cute. It's just slightly bigger than that ornament one I made, and it'll be so cute just sitting on a shelf. Here's the battery pack stuck on the back, and I can just I did that so I can just slide that switch and turn it on when I want. It's so different, right, than the first one. The first one's kind of country rustic, and this one's all sparkly and pretty, but it just it still fits. And here's that first one I made hanging in the tree with all the black and white, all its black and white glory. And here it is just sitting on a shelf too, next to my others. This is one that I also did. It's a little bit bigger. I used 5 of the pieces. I just put some black and white fabric on the back, and then did some greenery and hung a little ornament. I didn't put a window on the front. It was a little taller, so I had to put those feet on it to kind of steady it. But here are my 3. For some reason I like doing things in 3s, but here are my 3 trees. So I really enjoyed making these. They're a great way to use some of your craft stick scraps. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I hope that you'll subscribe so you'll be the first to know about future videos, and visit me on Facebook and Instagram. And please share. Thank you so much for joining me today.